Welcome to the episode of the campaign trail of President McKinley, and here today we'll be discussing the theme, quote-unquote, neighbors, that appears through the whole movie of Rear Window. Okay, so first I want to tell you a little bit about something about myself. I'm from Nashville. I love soccer. It's my passion. It's been a passion of mine since I was very, very little. I been playing it for a long time. Want to play in college. That's one of my goals. But also one of my goals is to play professional soccer and then playing with the U.S. Women's National Team. It's been one of my goals since I was 5. It's been a dream of mine, so I just hope I follow through with that. Another one of my passions are just, something that I enjoy doing, really more so than, I guess, a passion, but it's magic. I love magic. I love the mystery of it, trying to solve each individual little trick, as per se. It's very fun to me. Throughout the summer, I was always practicing tricks, so it's very fun. But the mystery part of it, I think, goes into a lot of things, and that's one reason why I want to talk about Rear Window. And it's a passion of mine to talk about it, because I like the suspenseful part of the movie, and that is one thing that is just attracting me to the movie. I love talking about the suspense side of it. I think it's fun, per se. So today we're going to talk about the neighbors, quote-unquote, theme of the movie Rear Window. I think the three most important words that this movie talks about is who, why, and how. And we're going to talk about those 3 words and how they correlate with the neighbors, like who the neighbors are, why are they important, and how do they influence Jeffrey's life. Because Jeffrey's is the center of the movie. So, we have to bring it back to Jeffrey's at the end of the day. So I think those 3 questions, we can answer all 3 of those questions, and, we can discuss the importance of the theme. So, to begin, I just want to say what's happening in Rear Window, what's going on. So he's broken his leg, he's in a wheelchair, he can't do anything. But the only thing he can do is look out his windows and his binoculars, and he can see in everyone else's window what's going on. So I think in that, per se, he's actually meaningful. So him breaking his leg is meaningful in life because he does something really extraordinary, which I think is very, very cool. God works in mysterious ways, and making Jeffrey break his leg, he helps someone else's life. He takes other people out of misery, but he's having to go through the pain for someone else, per se. So I think God has a lot to do with this too. Different discussion. So first, who are the neighbors? So there's multiple neighbors, but I really just want to talk about the main 3. One I think that are the most important. The Thorwalds, obviously, they're probably the most important. Secondly, the dog-loving people. I think those probably are the second most. And then the third, Miss Lonely Hearts. I think she's just kind of, living her life, but in Jeffrey's eyes, I think he can see something different. So, the Thirlwalds. Who are the Thirlwalds? Well, I mean, really, they come in, and Mr. and Mrs. Thirlwald and then Jeffries see something suspicious out of them and their actions, what they do. The dog-loving people, I think, really the main importance of them is their dog. We'll get back to that later, but I think mainly their dog is probably the second most important aspect of the movie. Now, Mrs. Lonely Hearts, she is a middle-aged woman, right? She lives by herself, probably lost someone, so she's really, really sad. She's right below the Thirlwald's apartment. So she's important. To go back to the Thirlwalds, they live across from Jeffries. And then the dog-loving people, right, they have a dog. It wouldn't be the dog-loving people if they didn't have a dog. They are right outside, or they're right next to the Thirlwald's apartment. Then underneath the Thirlwald's apartment, well, I wouldn't say underneath, but below, not right below, but directly down below, Jeffries can see the songwriting guy. I think he's a pretty cool guy. Just he plays his own music and songs and doing his little own thing. But I think he's a pretty cool dude. Then you have Miss Torso. She's the long, or the tall, skinny woman that's always dancing and exercising in very weird, skimpy clothes, per se. So, those are the neighbors, I think, that we need to get down and really know them. Now, also, there is Lisa and there's Stella, which are very important people. Obviously, Lisa is Jeffrey's, lover, per se, and they are both very important. But in the neighbors' per sense, the songwriter, the dog-loving people, Mrs. Lonely Hearts, Mrs. Torso, and the tall, skinny lady, are the neighbors that I think are important to know. Stella obviously comes and goes, helps Jeffries, so that in that sense is working in progress. Now, at the beginning I didn't say this, but I want to go back and say I'm going to correlate in the elements of film that I think are very important, and it will be coming up in this next section of why are the neighbors important. That's probably the most essential question. Why are they important? Because first, we're going to talk about cinematography, and it will correlate into why the neighbors are important. All right. So first, I want to talk about the dog-loving people. They're important. Mainly one reason, their dog. Their dog helps Jeffries figure out where Mr. Thirlwald hid Mrs. Thirlwald's body. And the dog figures that out. And that helps Jeffrey figure out where it is and helps figure out the mystery behind the murder. So, in that sense, all the close-up shots of Jeffries, of his binoculars, facing to the Thirlwald's apartment, and the close-up shots of the dog come into play. So those shots are what solve and help Jeffries solve the murder and who did it and where the body is. If without those close-up shots, I don't think Jeffries could have solved the murder. So also I want to talk about how important the sound is. And that's kind of going back to when Lisa is climbing into the Thirlwald's apartment trying to find the ring. The sound right there is probably the most essential part of the movie. Really, really important. Just because she climbs into the apartment with, your heart's beating, you're shaking. As a viewer, you're shaking. And she's shaking. Jeffrey is shaking. His heart is pounding. He's sweating. He doesn't know what's going to happen because he knows that Thirlwald is a bad person. So the sound there is very important because it shows the suspense of the movie and how it clicks around, per se, I guess. So your heart's beating. She's climbing up. You have sound. You have the music in the background of the movie is like dun 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 dun. It's really intense. So I think that's really important to notice. And then also, as a suspense movie thriller, you're gonna have something funny come right after. So having that is very, very important to Rear Window. Having the sound, because it makes the movie more suspenseful. I think without the sound, you're not going to have the suspense. One last thing I want to talk about is the editing. I think that back in the day, with Rear Window, being an older movie, and with Alfred Hitchcock, the director, releasing the movie in September. It was September 1st, 1954. So the 1950s, the editing, I think, was pretty good. In between scenes, you would have it black out. But besides that, that's part of the 50s movies. But other than that, I think the movie was really well edited and directed too. So the editing, I think, was really, really well done. With all the lighting, the sound. The lighting was really particular. And I want to talk about the lighting real quick, about a scene very, very end of the movie when Jeffries is talking to his friend, the policeman. And then he hears Thirlwald coming up. And then the lighting there is probably really, really important. Very dark. You don't know what's going to happen. There's very little light. Because you don't know what Thirlwald's going to do. He's already killed his wife. And you don't know what he's going to do to Jeffries. So I think that percent is very important. The lighting in that scene is very, very important. So lastly, I want to talk about really, really quick how the characters influence Jeffrey's life. I think I just really want to talk about the Thirlwalds. First, I think that the Thirlwalds influence his life by bringing him and Lisa together. Their relationship probably wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for the murder, just because in the sense, Jeffries knew something was up. She didn't believe him, but it brought them closer together. Better relationship, better together, I think, all in all. So in that sense, the Thirlwalds brought them closer together, made him a better person. Mrs. Lonelyhearts, I think, made Jeffries realize what is that I should feel sorry for her, that I should be grateful for what I have, and not be like her, sitting at a table and having a lit candle and a plate for someone to eat, but that person's never going to show up. So, again, thank you so much for listening to this about Rear Window, and hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.